Hey everybody, it's Friday, the 5th of March. I'm still Kevin Murcko, I think, and I'm still sitting in the offices of CoinMetro, I'm pretty sure. And this is weekly AMA. So like the title says, you ask me anything and I try to answer it. I'm pretty good. I think 99% of the time I can give an answer. I think I've been stumped once or twice over the past 3 years. Don't remember what the question was, unfortunately, but anyway. So you ask the questions, I answer them, and yeah, see people starting to come in. Hey Luke, jet fuel 2M1, jet fuel getting in foist, nice. Just this light here, there we go. Okay. So yeah, everybody. So another week past to CoinMetro, another eventful week. Lots of things going on. Always lots of bits happening, lots of wheels turning, just lots of stuff all the time. So here we go. First question rolling in from, I always pronounce it. I pronounce every name wrong. I don't know what it is with me with pronouncing names. I don't get it. Will staked XCM leave the circulating supply? Where's the XCM token page? Do you know anything about SpectraCoin, also based in Talon? So let's start at the top. Will staked XCM leave the circulating supply? It depends on how you look at it. When you talk about numbers like from CoinMarketCap, et cetera, no, because you can, well, let me think about that. Potentially. So to be fair, I haven't been in the last product meeting about staking, but potentially we could be moving those into some type of non-time lock vault. So just a vault that removes from circulating supplies that sites like CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, et cetera, would remove those for the time period in which they're locked from circulating supply. So potentially, yes, it is something we could potentially do. Token page is coming. I just saw, I think there might be one or two little small pieces of content that are or copy that still need to be added to that page. And then obviously, I'm not sure where it is in terms of coding right now, but definitely this month, I think we're aiming to get that thing out before the end of the month because we have lots of news and lots of things happening about XCM and the company in general towards the middle and end of the month. So we want to make sure that that page is out. So it's should be ready to roll this month. SpectraCoin. So I know SpectraCoin because they did the Bankera ICO, which before we did our ICO, when I was testing out ICO interfaces, I actually used theirs and put like 1,000 euros in. I got wrecked. Absolutely. Bankera finally, though, after whatever 3.5 years, actually got a license and EMI license and started to actually do some business. So hats off to them. I still got wrecked though. So I don't think SpectraCoin's actually based here. I don't think they actually have a physical presence. Maybe I'm wrong. I think they just probably have the license like everybody else and their grandmother. I mean, literally somebody's grandma probably has the Estonian license still somewhere. Russian grandma, Chinese grandma, one of those grandmas probably still holds a license. So no, what I know about them is that obviously they have an exchange. Same company that owns Bankera, which is an EMI. They're doing, I guess, some things similar to what we're doing, but I have, other than that, don't really know the team. Have interacted a bit with them, but not much. We did actually contact Bankera about possibly using their gateways for some fiat payments, specifically out of Lithuania, and let's just say that their customer support isn't as good as ours. I'll leave it at that. Akev, has NK testing started? Wagey KG. I can pronounce that one. Wagey KG. So no, it hasn't. Thanks for asking though. I did reach out to Anatoly, and I could bring up his latest message, but I think it's on Telegram. I don't have that sitting in front of me right now. But I think what I was told is that within the next week or so, this was last week that I got the message from, late last week. It might have been early this week, actually. I don't know. I lose days sometimes. There's too much stuff going on. But he told me that within the next week or two that they would have some API calls so we could start testing CoinMetro in their interfaces to move funds back and forth on layer 2, layer 1, etc. So no news yet. We haven't started anything yet, but potentially next week or the week after, we will have the ability to start something, though we do have a pretty hectic dev schedule. So I'm not sure we would be ready when they're ready. But within a week or 2 or 3 of them being ready, I think we would be ready. So potentially at the end of March, we might have an update there. If not, into April, I would imagine. Give us some new BizDev news. Right on, BizDev. All right, hey, Jet Fuel. Do you just have like a copy paste? You have like just this probably like on, I imagine like your desktop just says what's going on with BizDev, and you just like do this big kind of click and drag and copy paste every week. You did put a smiley face, little winky smiley face this time, so yeah, that's cool. German Challenger Bank, still back and forth with them, waiting on them to come back to me actually with a few specific questions. Haven't heard back from them for about a week, but I did ask them some questions that I guess take a bit of time to answer. So I'll be following up with them before the end of the day today, and expect hopefully to hear back from them next week. Other BizDev news. We will have on Monday the official announcement from the Bank of Lithuania on our EMI agent license, that it's been approved, passported to Estonia. That's going to start, I guess, some initial steps towards BizDev. We're going to start to go after additional banking partners. We're going to start to go after some additional merchant acquirers. We're going to start the process of debit cards. Finally start the process, maybe not on Monday, but we'll be getting to the extent to the point where we can start the process finally. And that's going to lead to some BizDev, simply because we're going to be able to offer additional services we currently don't offer, like transferring right on the platform. So you can transfer to somebody else, you can transfer them crypto, you can transfer them fiat, etc. That's going to open the doors to merchant accounts, things that some people have been waiting on, that some of our clients have been waiting on. That's going to lead to more B2B services. So that's definitely going to start a ball rolling in BizDev. Lots of hiring going on. So I've had interviews for COO positions, for HR positions, for back office positions, for risk positions, for not yet for SysOps and dev, but that should be coming. Also, I've had some interviews on a few other customer service and a few other positions. I'm trying to think what else, but anyway, lots of interviews. We've already sent out offers. We have a few offers that have been accepted, also in legal. So we're going to be expanding quite quickly. Part of that expansion is definitely we're going to focus a little bit more on BizDev, and not just from one angle. I think legal hire that we're going to make is probably going to help on BizDev quite extensively, as well on product, strategizing product, not only from a legal angle, but also he has experience working at a regulator in the US, as well as working on bond trading desks. So unique experience tied to his legal background. Anyway, lots of things coming that are going to lead to a lot more BizDev in the future. Also listings. Obviously, we want to pick up the pace on listings. I do think that coming out of March, we will start to pick up the pace on listings quite extensively. In March, we had a lot of things that we need to accomplish, and so we're going to be focused on that. But listings are going to start to pick up, and that's going to be part of BizDev as well, because we've been in talks with a few people that potentially could help us kind of as a listing coordinator, doing a lot of research, and then pushing up to myself, Oliver, and the board about what listings that they feel might make sense, and then we can start moving a bit quicker on those. So that's also happening. Sorry, what am I doing? Right click, left click. Monikavi, I think I pronounced that one right. Let's see. Hi, Kev. Is the deal with German Bank already secured, or is there a chance the deal will not happen? There's always a chance every deal will not happen, even when there's ink on paper. No ink on paper yet with these guys, so we're not in that stage yet, but I would say we are in the paper before ink stage. But I think that chance is relatively small at this point. But even if it doesn't happen, we have the product that we can offer to other challenger banks and other wallets and other institutions that want to incorporate crypto into their product. And we're going to start in Q2 into Q3 of marketing that. So whatever. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I think we're definitely at the top of the list to get the deal done. And as soon as I know, you guys are going to know. Wagey KG, thoughts on everything crashing, stocks, cryptos, worse yet to come? It's been a little bit of a blip on my radar, to be honest, so far. Look, when you have an exuberant market, I'm talking about crypto specific, well, even stocks, to be honest. When you have an exuberant market that goes up multipliers, since January, if you look at crypto prices, specifically almost any crypto price, I mean, look at XCM. We 12x'd, 15x'd, I think. Well, at the top, we roughly 16x'd, something like that. maybe 17 almost, 16, 17x. And so obviously you're going to see, people are going to take profits. You are going to see some pressure on the sell side when you have a 17x. It's just the way it happens. Is that bad? Of course it's not bad. If you bought at the top, is it bad? No, because it's a temporary top. Bitcoin, Ether, all these things have seen tremendous gains over the past 2 months. I mean, when you talk about gains of this size, normally in traditional markets, you're talking years or decades, to be fair. We did it in 2 months. So there's obviously going to be pullback. And on stocks, stocks the same thing, man. Most stocks see an 8 to 12% on average increase, year on year. And then when they hit a bear slump, they have 2 or 3 years of no profitability. We've seen profits on stocks that usually don't see in decades in 18 months. So you're going to see pullbacks. I don't call this isn't a crash yet. I wouldn't call it anything but a pullback, anything but profit taking, and that's normal in a market, and it's needed. If you don't have sellers, you can't. If there's no sellers, nobody can buy, and you need to have that ebb and flow in markets. So right now, I would say it's normal, and I wouldn't really pay too much attention to it, to be honest. If you're a long-term investor, I'd be looking to dollar cost average on most markets right now. There is, and I've talked about this into last year, at some point the money stops flowing into equities in the US. That's probably not going to happen though over the short term. Why? Well, you now have a new administration in the office and they're going to be printing money like there's no tomorrow. And they will continue probably to print for the vast majority of these 4 years. And then printing money and all these stimulus checks are going to flow right back into where the initial ones flowed into for the most part. And so you're going to see probably higher highs before you see lower lows. I wouldn't be too concerned yet, but obviously the caveat when you always invest is invest what you can afford to lose. Invest what you can afford to lose, look to get those multipliers, and then invest the house's money. This way, if you do lose, you're not losing your money, you're losing money that the house gave to you, right? That's the golden rule. Allison, good morning. Have you considered following ZAR as the remittance market? So South African rand, sorry. And my currency, my crypto, my actual currency trading days fell out the window there for a second. As the remittance market for that could be a gold mine. Absolutely. So we would love to basically to every fiat currency where there's a massive remittance market. So USD, MXN, the Philippines, the Filipino peso, Argentine peso, the South African rand. All those markets are tremendous for remittance, and we'd love to be in them. The problem comes from getting payment gateways in those currencies that are reliable, that are hopefully local, and that are inexpensive, and that's difficult. So absolutely, we'd be open to opening up those remittance corridors 100%. We have to find partners that will help us do that. Some of our banking partners are starting to expand into different currencies. South African rand is obviously not probably on the top of the list, but it's definitely not on the bottom either. And over time, we will be adding more and more currencies. We are going to be redoing our markets page here shortly, where you're going to be able to vote for what you want to see listed, not just from the crypto side, but also from the fiat side. So we'll make sure that some of these remittance corridor currencies are definitely on that list. Please vote. If it gets enough votes, well, then we're going to start the hunt. And it may take time because, like I said, these can be difficult. The Brazilian real would be great as well for a remittance corridor currency. However, you can't bank with the Brazilian real anywhere outside of Brazil. You need to have Brazilian bank accounts, and to do that is extremely difficult. Plus, there's cap controls, etc. So, just another example. But there are ways. There could be stable coins. Maybe there's a ZAR stable coin. Maybe there isn't. Maybe we could create one. There's always something. There's always an option. So just get ready for that markets page update and make sure that you vote so that we can see what our people want, because we listen to feedback here. And thanks for the feedback. Great feedback, by the way. Any way to prevent margin liquidations to impact XCM in such a way? Maybe offering XCM and margin is just a bad idea altogether. Why offer a utility token on a speculative trading platform? Well, it is a utility token, but most volumes on any utility token in the market, don't let anybody tell you differently, are based on speculative trading. Margin in its design provides liquidity. Well, maybe it provides liquidity on the sell side, but it also provides liquidity on the buy side. Like I said, the sellers need to be bought. So it does provide liquidity on both sides. It's important. It's important to mature the market to increase the amount of liquidity. So prevent margin liquidations. Well, I look at that from two sides. One, obviously, we don't want our clients to lose money. Simple as that. We're not a market maker. We don't make money when you lose money. We don't charge liquidation fees like Binance or BitMEX. We don't want to see you guys get wrecked. In fact, we'd love to see you never get wrecked ever again, because it would mean you're making more and more money and you're probably doing more volumes, and that's great for the business. It's great for XCM too, because it means we're vaulting more XCM. However, at some point you need to mature your market, and this is a step to maturity. Like many things in life, you take one step forward, two steps back, one step forward, two steps back before you actually start moving forward. But at some point you have to start, right? I think the market is mature enough. The buy side of the book is mature enough, but it's still a volatile asset, which means that if you are margin trading, my question would be, if it is a utility, your argument is it's utility token, why should it be on margin? Well, people use it. There wouldn't be liquidations if people weren't using it. There wouldn't be people making money if people weren't using margin. It is a tool. And I think as a tool, it's important to have. So at some point, we need to mature the market. It's matured quite substantially, even in the last few months, but definitely in the last year. And I think it's important that it remains. We can, provide limitations, but that sometimes will also limit someone's ability to use the tool. So I think people need to act responsibly. You need to understand that XCM is still not the most liquid asset in the world. It will get more liquid over time. But if you're trading XCM, or any asset for that matter, and you're using margin, understand the tool you're using. Anything can be a tool. I told my kids when they were younger, and I even tell my 9-year-old now, that credit is not a bad thing. Credit, if you use it as a tool, you can benefit from credit, and you can benefit a lot. In fact, it's way better than using cash in many instances, and there's much more benefit. But if you use it as a crutch, then it's a bad thing. So use margin as a tool, don't use it as a crutch. And I think it has much more positive than it does negative. We've seen 2 flash crashes in XCM due to liquidations on other assets in the last few weeks. Is SCM really a mature enough market to offer leverage? So again, same answer here. We want to mature the market. Offering additional liquidity helps mature a market. That doesn't mean from putting more liquidity day 1 means day 2 makes it a more mature market. No, but by day X, it does. So you have to start. And we've started. Now, people need to understand, again, how to use margin as a tool and not a crutch. So while I'm regulatorily savvy and I like to deal with regulators, and I believe that the way forward to deregulate is to initially regulate, because there has to be an understanding, there has to be risk mitigation, there has to be protection. I think the same thing when I think about an adult's choices in this world. We give you the option to use the platform. Just like anything in life, I don't think, you're not going to probably get into an aircraft carrier and try to fly it unless you know how to fly an aircraft carrier. There are very few people in this world that I think that would jump behind the pilot's seat and say, let's get her done, and just, push a bunch of buttons and see if they could fly this massive airplane. Probably not. And you need to have that same approach when you look at financial products. If you don't understand it first. Use demo. Play around with it. Understand what happens with price. Understand that when you have 5x leverage and you use all your available margin, it's a very thin line between when you're going to get liquidated. Use it as a tool, not a crutch. That's what I would say. I like to promote people being adults and making adult decisions. I really don't like limitations. And it's not because the company may make less money. It's and to be fair, I'm a businessman. I like when the company makes more money. However, because then we can serve all you better. But however, I think it makes a lot more sense that adults should be able to make a decision. And if your adult decision gets you a bit wrecked, you're probably going to make a better decision the next time around. Getting wrecked is probably one of the best ways to figure out what not to do in trading, to be honest. Once you get wrecked once, you probably don't want to get wrecked again, right? Getting wrecked twice is worse than getting wrecked once. I just like saying the word wrecked today. I don't know what my problem is. Give me a second because, this is a new question. Okay. Thanks for the MA. All the best and have a great weekend. Wow, Bjorn, thank you very much. Appreciate that. A little early for that comment, but you're very welcome. I love doing these things and I'll continue to do them as long as you guys come here and ask great questions and listen, which has still been going on now after 3.5 years. So I'm happy about that. Pretty pointless to hurt the XCM buy book with these margin liquidations. Yeah, I think you're looking at it the wrong way. There's a lot of buying happening on a margin. In fact, I would say a majority of XCM buying happens on margin. If we take margin away, you will lose all the buying. You may lose some liquidations, but the amount of liquidations in comparison to the amount of buying, I think, is minuscule. How is a growth token different than a share of stock? Hey, Cam. So the term growth token is our own. So it doesn't necessarily have a standard definition. So it's not like if you ask me what the difference between blue and red is, I don't even know how I'd answer that question. One's blue and one's red, I guess. But the growth token in terms of the CoinMetro bond is a token that represents and gives, that represents an ownership of specific type of rights in a company. So that growth token doesn't make you a shareholder, but it gives you the rights of a shareholder, except for voting rights. It's kind of like if you had a B class, C class, some different type of class of share. You know, some shares have voting rights, some shares have dividend access, some shares don't, some shares only have voting rights, etc. So you don't actually become a shareholder on paper, but you are given the rights of a certain percentage of the company for access to dividends, access to revenue share if we were to do that in the future, access to any real fruits that come from the company except for voting rights. However, you could have a growth token that gives voting rights. The growth token, that's a moniker we created to say that, you know, the bond isn't about growth. The bond is about stability and interest. That's what a bond is about. Whereas the equity-like token is about growth. You want the equity value to grow over time. As the company's valuation grows, that equity token should grow in value. That's why we call it a growth token. Did you manage to get those recent user growth figures? Yeah, let's see. I asked for something. Let me see. Give me a second, guys. Let's see if I have it in my. The computer is yep. Not yet, but before the end of the show, hopefully we'll have something. Actually, one of our tools that we use to gather data didn't gather data for last week, so they were looking on that when you asked me earlier in the day. But I will come back to this before the end of the show. So, when will the 5,000 month ACH limit be raised? Hey, Violet, you can DM me, and I may be able to raise that I can raise it on a case by case basis. So go ahead and DM me and let me know what you need, and I'll see if I can actually get that done for you. When it comes to, in general, just for everybody, that will change once we have more liquidity in those USD accounts. Right now, if we were to raise it, what happens is we instantly give that money to you, right? So you do an ACH deposit for 5K, 10K, 20K, 3K, 245, whatever it is. We take that money out of our treasury and automatically give it to you immediately. But we don't actually get the money from the bank for between 1 and 3 business days on average. Used to take even longer with our old banking partner through Prime Trust, but now it's 1 to 3 business days. That means that if we have 1 million, let's say, liquid today and 900,000 in deposits come in today, we only have 100K left potentially for a day or two, unless we can move other capital, maybe from liquidity providers, et cetera, and move it into its place. But that treasury management takes time. It can take hours, days, whatever, to move the money. It can also leave us exposed at a liquidity provider. It can leave us exposed at other platforms, et cetera. So we need to up the liquidity we have on USD, which means the more that people do wire transfers, which we don't have to credit automatically, the more cushion we have in that liquidity pool of USD, and the more we can offer in terms of limits or remove limits entirely. So we've also been checking data, and now that I'm a bit more operational in finance, our CFO departed, and so while we're looking for a new one, I'm taking on that role, and I've been looking actually at our net in and outflows on USD, Euro, et cetera, to see really where we can take it. Like, what is the average deposit size versus how many deposits we get per day versus what the liquidity needs we have. If I can figure out a median where I know that 90% of people deposit less than 1K per transaction, but 10% deposit between 1K and 20K, and et cetera, deposit up to 100K. If I can make those numbers work under the current circumstances, then I'll remove those limits. Up to this point, though, I haven't been able to look at those numbers close enough, but I will. So you can DM me, long story short. Hi, Kev. Is it deal? I already answered that one, Moni. I think you asked already, but I got to it. Who is dumping XCM today? people who bought XCM for probably a lower price and thus want to make a bit of money. Look, guys, I think everybody kind of gets when the price goes up, 50% in 3 days. Everybody's exuberant and everybody says, yeah, nobody asks who's buying, nobody cares. But people that buy eventually are going to sell, right? Not everybody's going to be a hodler. In fact, some people will hodl 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% of their portfolio, but trade with the other 30%. And we need traders, guys. Without traders, there's no liquidity. You look at you're looking at the let's say the sell side as a bad thing, but it's not, because without the sell side, you can't have a buy side. So this ebb and flow is great. You know why? Because at 60 cents, at 50 cents, there may be people on the sidelines that say, you know what, I'd buy, but I want to buy at 40. I want to buy at 35. So if the price gets there, they're going to buy and they're going to support that price. Price will eventually go right back where it was. It's just the ebb and flow of markets. It literally has to happen. You can't go up all the time. And it's healthy. It's a healthy market. So will you allow trend managers to trade small caps when if liquidity is sufficient? Yes. It may improve allure of following trend. I agree. We made the transition to a liquidity provider now on all alts except for PRQ, XCM, VXV. Is there another one? Thinking. And KDA. But KDA now has its own liquidity provider, which seems to be doing quite well. I actually bought about 15K worth of KDA today as a test from my own account. Went through flying colors, minimal slippage. So there is liquidity now on pretty much every alt except for a few. PRQ has its own book. They have their own market maker as well. And VXV decided not to go the market maker strategy. They wanted organic, so they're organically filling out their own book. And XCM, well, I would say XCM probably has market makers, but they're just clients that are market making inside the book. So I would say we're at a point now where just about every alt on the platform, except for maybe one or two, we could probably add to margin, and we will start to do that to margin and tram. Absolutely. I agree with you that those are where you can see some spectacular short-term gains. And obviously that's going to be great for tram. And we will be adding those in 100%. And over time, we will be adding more and more assets. PRQ on margin, it's a good one. We totally forgot about PRQ on margin. We actually got a rocket ship or a popcorn, whatever we got from the Parsec boys. Yeah, we got to do that. I'm gonna see if we can get it done by next weekend. That's going to be my goal. So I'll see. I don't think this weekend is going to be possible, to be fair, but we'll see. I'll have a discussion after this meeting. We'll see when we get that done. BizDev is my life. I think of nothing else. Awesome. Well, you should come and work for us and do some BizDev then, Jeff. What's going on? Have you sent in the CV yet? I mean, you should DM me with it, because if BizDev is your life, we need somebody like you on the team that can just knock out BizDev, man. And we're getting to the point, to be fair, we're going to have a lot of products to offer B2B. Any good news for Canadian investors? I don't know, Mona, what do you want to hear? I guess you want CAD listed. One of our we have two service providers now that allow CAD. I'm trying to get it hooked up on one of them because they offer better service and it would be local. And actual local Australian dollar as well, which we have Australian dollar now, but it's through our Swiss bank connection. So as far, I guess, and if you're an investor, and you can obviously always send Swift USD or you can send Swift Euro. I'm working on Canadian dollar as we speak. I've taken over, like I said, some operational stuff from finance. So I'm digging back into all stuff finance, and I'm working on it. But if you wanted some other news, ask me a little more specific question and I'll answer it. The tram page is very convoluted and doesn't show enough info. Any plans to remake? Absolutely. There is an absolute plan to remake this. The initial schedule, I believe, had it in March, but now we're looking probably at April, maybe even into May, but it's a substantive remake. Also, when I try to withdraw from tram, it says I need 50 euros to stay in. Why is that? That shouldn't be the case. You can exit entirely from the tram. Potentially, if you're only leaving less than 50, your option is to remove everything, because there is a minimum. The way that trades are allocated, sometimes trades are too large that would be left on the account, or too small to be able to close partially. So you have to hold a certain amount. But you can take out everything, that's for sure. I guess if you want to leave something in that particular tram, you're going to need to leave at least 50 euro. How will the Coinbase IPO affect the broader crypto market? I would assume bring in a lot of new customers. I don't know. I don't know if there's so much of a correlation between an equities guy that buys the Coinbase into Coinbase because they think it's just going to grow, and they don't really care about the underlying business so much, but they know there is a business. They're not really interested so much in crypto, but they know other people are. So I don't know if the IPO itself will really bring crypto investors. I think what it does do is help legitimize the industry. People that may have been still on the fence talking about how, I don't know about crypto, it's all drug money and I don't know, human trafficking or something. Or I don't know about these crypto exchanges, do they really operate, under the guise of the law, et cetera. So I think the IPO helps the broader crypto market and helps the broader exchange market to show that it is a legitimate business and it's being legitimized by traditional finance. So I think that helps. I don't know if it really brings in new crypto clients, but the news, because it will spread far and wide, will talk about Coinbase and what they do. And talking about Coinbase and what they do, people read those articles. People that may not already be involved in crypto may read that article and say, hey, great, they may become a Coinbase client. Then once they become a more savvy client and realize Coinbase is charging them 10 times more than other places charge for the same services, they end up migrating. Coinbase is a great entry point, and it's also a great conversion tool for every other well-run exchange that charges decent fees. So Coinbase being there is actually probably a godsend because they spend a lot of money to churn clients. They spend a lot of money to bring in new clients all the time. And when those clients leave, they end up at places like CoinMetro because we treat them better. And so, go onward Coinbase for that, for sure. Onward Coinbase. What should I do in order to candidate for a job position as CM from abroad? Thanks. Hey, Ronan. Send an email with your CV to jobs@coinmetro.com. Give a little cover letter or description in that email. CC me as well. I'd like to see it. Kevin@coinmetro.com. That's it. It may take a bit of time. We have hired a new person in HR, but they don't officially full-time start until April 20th, I believe. So they have kind of started now to guide the person who is handling most of the HR ad hoc up to this point, doing a great job, but has too much other stuff to do. And so there may be a bit of a delay, but I'll take a look as well. And if there's something that I think makes sense, I'll definitely push it forward. Appreciate it, by the way. One question. What are the prerequisites for an EMI license? Only the processing fees and some safety funds, or is there more to it, like a certain company structure and history? So to be 100% transparent here, this is an EMI agent license. So it's a sub-license underneath the main regulatory license held by one of our banking and service providers. The main requirements are some fit and proper, which means people that are running the entity actually have experience, they're not criminals, et cetera, et cetera. Your basic fit and proper tests. Making sure policies are in place that protect client funds and also mean that the business can run streamlined and effectively. There are specific requirements in terms of employees, what employees you need, what oversight you need, et cetera. And there are no capital requirements for the sub-license. For the EMI license in general, there are capital requirements, but they're not that hefty. I believe EMI license is 350,000 euro, if I'm not mistaken. 125 for another license called another PSP license, which doesn't allow electronic money. There is the difference between electronic money and just handling money is getting very gray over the years. But for EMI, for the agent license, there's no minimum capital requirements. But the main license holder also puts in its own caveats. So the bank as a service provider that we acquired that license underneath, put their own caveats of things we needed to do in order to make sure, audits and things like that they do on our company, KYC audit, AML audit, checking our procedures, understanding that we know what we're doing. And that process took quite some time. And now we have a very good relationship with that bank as a service provider now. And that's because of the fact that we do things the way they should be done. And we don't try and cut corners. Is the new market maker up and running? Yes, there is a single market maker now across all alts except for KDA, which has its own market maker, PRQ, which has its own market maker, VXV, which is organic, and XCM, which is also organic. We are going to be fleshing out some additional tiers, probably over this weekend into next week. And today, I believe, if not today, tomorrow, or later this evening, we will be moving over Bitcoin and Ethereum, the last two pairs we have priced by another market maker, over to XHub, which is a new aggregator. Yeah. So that's the state of liquidity. But yes, it's been up and running for some time. We've just been running it on different pairs, and now we'll start moving. And now we've moved over the majority of all alts, including some majors like Bitcoin Cash, XRP, Litecoin, have all been on the new market maker as well for about 2 weeks, I think, at this point. Are you going to list Ethereum Classic? We don't have plans right now to list Ethereum Classic. However, again, when that new markets page comes up, you'll be able to vote on what you want to get listed. So you can vote for Ethereum Classic, and maybe we'll get it listed. By when can we see XCM as collateral on margin? I think before we do the Tram remake, so it could potentially even happen this month. But I think it'll come out with, I think it's going to come out with staking. So plan for that is towards the end of the month. So that's the goal. PRQ staking, maybe. Would love to talk to the PRQ boys about that. They have their IQ protocol that they're going to roll out. I've asked them already how we can kind of basically be part of that as the only centralized exchange. They've agreed to talk about it and figure out a way, but we haven't had those talks yet. So 100% open to do it, willing to do it, would love to do it. Just need to have a talk with the guys to figure out how we get it done. Thoughts on tokenizing some CoinMetro memes or epic AMA moments to ride the NFT train? Yeah, actually, been talking about it internally, and I think we will try it. Just not sure what platform to use and how exactly we're going to do it. But yeah, I think it's something we are going to give a shot and see what happens. What currencies are you planning to get working with the debit cards? Initially, euro and pounds, and then eventually USD. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for your work. Will there be a chance to officially see what new coins are on your shortlist? Shortlist is right in Telegram. You can probably ask in Telegram, where's the shortlist? Somebody will probably forward it. I think Oliver posted a company shortlist and his own shortlist multiple times in Telegram. So yeah, it's in there. It's in there. And it changes over time, that's for sure, but it's definitely there. Next STO. So the next digital securities marketplace listing, I think is going to be a media company. So we would expect that to happen right now within March. There's still a few things that need to be finalized there to make it happen. But that looks to be like the next one. Yep, that's the way to look at it. Dollar cost averaging, you never expected, maybe you never expected when it was at 50, 60 cents, you'd have another buying opportunity 20, 30% lower. So there you go. Hit us with some growth stats. All right, let me see. I think I heard a few. Yeah, here we go. Let's see what we got. Bear with me because this computer, as I'm running this streaming session. So signups, November to December, 40% up. December to January, 300% up. And January to February, 25% up. Revenues, November to December, 50% approximately. December to January, 150% approximately. January to February, 60% approximately. So those are a little some small but very impressive growth stats, I guess. I said short but very impressive growth stats, not small by any measure. Thank you, Oliver, for shooting those over to me. Appreciate it. All right, so we got the fake CoinMetro posting in here. Facebook, man, come on, Jesus. You mentioned a lot of sellers for OTC trades. Do you plan to do anything about that? There's not a lot of sellers. There was maybe 3 or 4 sellers that were sitting that would be willing to take a bulk OTC trade, and there were buyers. There's many more buyers coming in than there are sellers. There's currently funds waiting for a potential seller. Most of those are vested. There were 1 or 2 that weren't. Definitely not the catalyst or the major catalyst for the price action that we've seen. I think that's just generally correlation to the market and people taking profits. Simple as that. But I don't see any reason to limit OTC. The fact is, the good news is that there's more buyers than there are sellers. So that should show you that, anytime you get an influx of OTC buyers, it means that they see potential And, you know, obviously if they have big amounts, they're trying to buy big amounts, hundreds of thousands, millions, then they want to be able to get a deal. They don't want to pay top of book price. But we shy many of them away. I don't attempt to find. There are certain circumstances where, you know, there may be someone that absolutely needs to sell. They have a situation and there's nothing they can do about it. They need to sell. And I'm willing to help those people out and find buyers. And that's it. And depending on the buyer, we do apply vesting, and most are vested. Will we see new assets on Tram? Yep, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier. Hey, Jack, nice to see you. How does KYC via QR code work? Is it more secure than via email? Is there more info about it on your website? I'm very intrigued by it. Cool stuff. So the QR code, the simple way it works is that QR code basically tells your mobile phone where to go, gives you a mobile browser URL where you go and actually fill out the KYC information. So it's not that it's embedded in the QR code. It's just that it's a way for you to easily use your mobile phone. Why use the mobile phone? Mobile phones, even the cheapest mobile phones, have way better cameras than your most expensive laptop or desktop computer normally. And when people try to do KYC on desktop, most of the time what happens is we get blurry images, and then we have to ask them to do it again. And that's a bit of a pain. And I would say 90%, if not higher, of all KYCs that come through mobile phones are crystal clear. Oh, yeah, so that wasn't directed at us, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to click that one. It's directed at this, which is a scam, guys. So I mention this every week, so I'm not going to mention it again. But anyway, hit the like button. Thank you. Appreciate that. Jack, Indian rupee. Well, yeah, Indian currency would be great. Again, payment gateways. Not an easy thing to acquire, and where you can acquire it, quite expensive. So we need a way to be able to acquire it and hold it that isn't extremely expensive and is stable. What's your take on the recent Engine rise, and where do you see them in the years to come? I haven't really paid too much attention to Engine. Look, everything rose. I think they just rise in different times, right? Like I said, we from our January 1st low to our recent high is like a 17x, 16, 17x, something like that. So Engine saw a rise. Great for them. They did it a little later than we did. Okay. I think everything in crypto probably going to see additional rises, to be honest, given the Give me a second. We had a bit of an issue. Okay, I think we're good again. Anyway, sorry guys, I froze there for a bit. Not sure if I froze for you guys as well, but it definitely froze for me. So the Engine rise, yeah. So different assets rise at different times. We've done a spectacular rise already this year. I expect much more. I expect more from a lot of different assets. Engine had a lot going, they had a lot going for them when they launched. They kind of went into a lull. Now that crypto's picking up everywhere, I think people are looking again at these type of platforms, and they saw a nice rise. I think as long as they continue to build out their platform, they continue to build out utility on the token, that token will be more valuable over time. Just like every utility token will be more valuable over time, as long as they continue to get users and continue to see growth and continue to build out utility for the underlying token. Do we have a clearer soon for the new platform and for the new app? What platform would be my question? For the new app, we absolutely do. It's going to be end of Q2. For the new platform, if you mean secondary market, we're gunning for the end of this month. If you mean something else, you're going to have to ask a bit more specifically, because I'm not sure if you're talking about staking, also end of this month. If you're talking about, Jesus, there's so many things we're working on. I don't know what you might be talking about. So you have to be a bit more specific. I'm proud to participate in this. Thank you, Palacio. I sent, oh, Jesus, this is I'm actually answering one of the scam messages. Look at this. I should have known Palacio. That's a dude's name. It has an O at the end of it. If you don't speak Spanish, if it has an O at the end of it, it's a dude. It's like the difference between Maria and Mario. Yeah, or Italian as well. Same thing. Dario, Daria. Anyway, sorry about that. It's Friday. Everybody makes mistakes. What do you want? What's your take around Engine's recent success? Okay, NFTs. I talked about NFTs a long time ago. I think, I make the story of my old daughter who wants to spend real money on imaginary virtual nonsense in video games. NFTs have already been here, to be honest. I mean, those are literally NFTs because there is some form of code that more than likely, maybe they're not NFTs because maybe every blue sword has the same code. I don't know. But there are unique digital artifacts that people purchase, which are pretty much NFTs. I think the market's seeing some ridiculous, it's like CryptoKitties. You're now seeing it with NFTs that really shouldn't be valued at what they're valued at. But that's great because it gets awareness. It's cool. You're not going to see that go on for too much longer. But NFTs in general can be used for much more than just art online. And I think they will be. They can be used for tracking and tracing and auditability of physical objects in the real world. They can be used for security purposes, authentication purposes, all types of different purposes. I think NFT has a bright future. Like many things everything in crypto, I shouldn't say many. ICOs, awesome idea, not the best execution, will have an awesome future though. There will be ICOs again. They might not call them ICOs, but they will exist again. Utility tokens used to funding of capital for capital raise will happen, absolutely. DeFi. Most DeFi is underpinned by valueless tokens that are given a value based on speculation only. That's why you see lots of pump and dumps. But DeFi, which started with Bitcoin, to be fair, will be and absolutely 100% positive will be something that will be adopted in the future by traditional finance, and they will decentralize many pieces of their ecosystems. DeFi is here to stay, but DeFi currently is a bit of a joke. NFTs, here to stay, absolutely, very valuable. Current NFT wave, a bit of a joke, and it will end. And when it does end, you will see out of the ashes, the phoenix will rise again, just like out of the ashes of ICO, we've now kind of have STOs a little bit. We had IEOs for a while. We still have lots of capital raising happen on blockchain, and you're going to see that mature over time. And the same thing will happen with NFTs. Any thoughts on the creator of SushiSwap stepping down? Do you personally think it's an exit scam? Also, Binance's questionable ethics in listing them on their platform. I think it's kind of funny that people invest or look at platforms that are created by anonymous coders that want to remain anonymous and then get kind of irked when they step down. Maybe he's not even stepping down. He's anonymous to begin with. Somebody else has to be running it. Maybe it's the same person. Maybe the same people. Maybe it's the same team. I think if you want to embrace decentralization entirely, and this is one reason why regulation hasn't and probably won't in the medium to short to medium to maybe even long term, is because when you really truly decentralize, you can't at the same time be upset when people leave or remain anonymous or list things that you don't like. Because the idea of decentralization means pretty much anybody can do whatever they want and everybody's anonymous. It's just anon, everybody's anon, nobody knows who anybody is. And so it's kind of like being a religious fanatic, but when someone points at one line in your Bible, your Quran or whatever and says, really? And you go, oh, well, that's nonsense. But the rest of it, that's verbatim. You can't do that. It just doesn't make any sense, though most people end up doing that for some reason. So the idea is that, it's decentralized. I don't pay attention to SushiSwap, to be honest. I don't pay much attention to Uniswap either. I think they are fads in and of themselves. I think decentralization is here to stay. You're going to have hybrids. Anonymous, you're basically going to have decentralized settlements in contrast to centralized order books. It is the best of both worlds. DeFi, you see why DeFi and ETH doesn't make much sense, right? Layer 2 will probably show up, but then are you losing some of the decentralization, which is the reason why decentralized exchanges make any sense? If you put it on layer 2, what does that really mean? Are you really decentralized at that point? Not really. So I think that, eventually this whole kind of many fads that are happening in this market are going to revert and go back to where they started, but within a refined way. If everybody will end up back on a centralized exchange, but it will be a hybrid centralized exchange. So anyway, I don't pay much attention. If it's an exit scam or not sure how that really affects a decentralized market. I mean, the price of the token may fall, but it's a governance token. It shouldn't have went up in the first place. Same thing with Uniswap's token. It's a governance token. Why should that hold any value whatsoever? Anyway, again, it's all about speculation right now, and that's why you're seeing kind of this, I don't know, ridiculousness that you see in these markets. Binance, questionable ethics. Well, all their ethics are questionable, so this is just one to add. If you really dig into Binance, it's all questionable. It's not even questionable, it's just wrong. It's bad ethics. It's, you know, but anyway, you can just add that, I guess, to the list. Is your exchange a scam? Because some people say it is. Well, I guess some people say everything's a scam. I guess if you type in, we'll play a game, right? Everybody go on their browser right now, type the word scam, and then pick any company you've ever dealt with that you know to be legitimate, and see how many websites pop up. There'll be a few at least, and if it's a big company, there'll be a lot. So no, but you're taking it from the horse's mouth. So you have to take my opinion as the CEO with a grain of salt, obviously, because I am the CEO. But no, we're not a scam. In fact, I would say we're probably one of the more ethical, transparent, and honest exchanges in the market. Look at our Trustpilot score. Look at how we treat our clients. Even when we have clients that come into Telegram or elsewhere that treat us horribly and immediately jump to conclusions and call us every name in the book, we still work to solve their problem. And I think I don't even know another business that does that, never mind in the crypto industry. So, but that's up to you to decide and find out. So, you know, do your research or don't. You know, if you don't want to, that's fine. There's always going to be people that try and shit on other people's success. You know you're successful when people try to shit on you, basically. That's kind of one of the tests. Once you break through that barrier, you know, and for me, I always try, every time I see someone say something bad about us, I try to rectify it if it's legitimate. Legitimate meaning they had a bad experience. It happens. I think we have one of the best staffs in the industry. We give some of the best support in the industry. We have some of the best platforms. We have some of the best pricing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Best features, platforms that don't exist anywhere else. But people can still have a bad experience. It happens. You know, might happen on 1%, might happen on 0.5%, might happen on 0.25% of our clients, but it happens. But when it happens, we are super diligent about making sure that we turn that around. So, yeah. Continue from previous question. Do you believe that by separating shitcoins into another portal page, will Binance not be fully liable, exorbitant ETH fees and no fees on their smart chain? Thoughts? No, I don't think that makes any difference. And I'm not sure that the listing of shitcoins in general is really what's the biggest problem at Binance. People like to trade shitcoins, so you offer them the ability to trade them, great. From a regulatory angle, a lot of those are probably securities, so that could cause issues. Segmenting them onto something else that's not regulated isn't going to make any difference. I think, you know, in regulated worlds, when you've made so many egregious, I was going to say mistakes, but I don't think they're mistakes. When you've made so many wrong decisions, and you've done so many things that would be against, let's say, regulation, it's impossible basically for you to become regulated, right? As a person, like CZ is probably unregulatable. He probably couldn't get a license as a CEO of any Binance company, and that's why all the Binance regulated arms, CZ is not part of them. Because he can't be regulated. He's an unfit person because he allowed, you know, certain things to happen on his platform and it's public. Doesn't mean he's a terrible person or you know, a criminal in general, but he's definitely unregulatable. So yes, you know, there's rumors about them, you know, manipulating Ether prices to get more people on their chain. Their chain is not really decentralized. I tip my hat to them from a business angle about their gimmicks. They use a lot of gimmicks that get people hooked. I looked at their interface the other day because we had a few people sending us, you know, Binance chain wrapped tokens, because Binance doesn't really give any warnings and doesn't really tell you that it just says you can withdraw and pay $25 or withdraw and pay 10 cents. People go, I'm just going to pay the 10 cents. Binance knows that most of those transactions are going to get stuck, and they don't care. They don't care. You know, they don't care. Now we actually revert those transactions and get clients their money back. But 90% of exchanges don't do that, and Binance can give, you know, half a shit about that. So there's so many things that I think Binance does that people either overlook, don't care about, or don't understand, that in a more mature marketplace they would have 10% of the clients they currently do. And, we're going to get to that point at some point. How's the hiring going? Pretty good. I already commented on that, but yeah, lots of new hires coming, lots of hiring, lots of interviews, lots of cool people, talking to lots of cool people, lots of people with lots of experience. It's going well so far. Thumbs up. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, if you're watching, please give thumbs up. It's great. Helps us out. Helps me know that whatever I'm saying makes sense. And that makes me feel good on a weekend when I go back and look. So I appreciate that. My better half asks, if God forbid something happened to me, how can she lay hands on my crypto stash? The sooner we have this thing resolved, the sooner I can save more fiat from rotting in the bank. Hey, Maverick. So we've actually talked about this internally, and at some point, probably Q3, Q4, we will roll out, basically in your settings page, you can set an ultimate beneficiary. Right now, you can go ahead and contact support, let them know that you want to set that up. They'll ask you to write out a letter, and that letter will simply state who your ultimate beneficiary is. And this way, in case that, we get provided in the worst case scenario with the death certificate or some type of power of attorney because, you're a vegetable in a hospital, but you can still move one finger and I don't know, whatever. That's terrible. But in the event something terrible happens, then that person can take over access to your account. So just get in touch with support and they'll walk you through it. What is the next soonest release to look forward from CM? Is it still platform overhaul? I think the next soonest big release is probably going to be staking on XCM. I think that's the next one you should be looking for. Hey Kev, any further news regarding Parsec Encase implementation? Yep, not yet. Mentioned that a little bit earlier in the show. What is the ratio and volume between trades on margin and exchange? Good question. Don't have the number off the top of my head right now, but I would say it's probably 60-40 with margin winning. Will you be investing in Coinbase IPO? No. I don't have any money in equities, though, to be fair. I don't invest in equities. Never really have. Not an interesting market for me. Yeah. So no, but not for any other reason. If I was in equities and I wanted to diversify, I don't see a reason why not, but I'm not in equities. Any new ideas to build tokenomics to XCM? New platforms, new use cases, new tokenomics. I think our tokenomics are amazing. And the fact that we haven't had to change them so much shows that from the beginning, they work and they make sense and they're comprehensive. But definitely, I think coming as we start to launch more things like staking is already more tokenomics for you. As we've already have staking on other assets, also more tokenomics. Having staking where you can still use the staked amount as collateral on margin, amazing tokenomics. So as new platforms come out, you're going to see new tokenomics. Who was the CFO? Well, I'm not going to share his name because he doesn't work here anymore. And well, he was a guy that worked here as CFO. But I don't think he's ever been mentioned. So I guess you probably wouldn't know who he was. A few more minutes, guys. I'm going to take a couple more questions in regards of there needs to be both buyers and sellers. Probably a very rookie question, but how is it possible that the value of XCM goes up? There must be more buyers and sellers. Yeah, the volume doesn't mean that there could be more sellers in terms of numbers, but obviously the volume of trades on the buy side would be larger than the sell side. In most mature markets, you may assume like a rookie assumption that you need buyers to be here and sellers to be here for the market to really take off. Not really. Most markets will always have about a 50-50 split where it goes 50.1, 50.2, 50.3, 50.6, whatever, in one direction, and the market starts to go in that direction. If you have a market that's 52, 53% on the buy side, you are skyrocketing. Absolutely skyrocketing. You are on jet fuel, rocket fuel all the way. So yes, the volume of buys has to outpace the volume of sells for the price to go higher. If the volume of sells outpace the volume of buys, you're going to go lower. But it doesn't have to be all that much different. And to be fair, if you had 80% buyers and 20% sellers, you wouldn't go very far because all buyers would eclipse and buy all the sales on the market, and there'd be no one else selling, which means you can't go any higher either. So you always need a very good balance between buying buyers and sellers, or you don't have a market. I noticed DNA went down. Is there going to be any staking, marketing making, or better liquidity on it? Better liquidity, I will be discussing in the near future with their CEO to see how they want to go about that. We do have options that they can get some liquidity behind it. And either way, liquidity is going to increase because there will be more people using the token, especially when the platform starts to really kick off. And that's going to increase volume just organically. And the token going down, again, if you're looking for a market where the token price only goes up, you'll never find that market. So you should just give up now, and forget about it, because you won't find that market. Staking on DNA, right now, I don't see enough demand to be able to do that. We've done staking on assets where we know that there's a very large following, and that's helped CoinMetro grow its user base. For DNA right now, I don't see that, but definitely in the future, it could be something we do. So we'll just have to play it by ear. Any news on GBP pairings? Rough date on when we can see those. We already have GBP pairings on majors. If you're looking for miners or alts, let us know in Telegram which ones you're looking at, and we can take a look. Update on marketing, sure. I'll leave. This might be one of my last answers. As I said, we had a consultant come in that's helping us kind of refine a little bit life cycle marketing and automate things. We're now in the operational phase, which is the next 4 to 6 weeks, 6 weeks, I think, where we'll be installing new tools, automating more our marketing process, automating the life cycle marketing. It's really gonna allow us to kind of take the 80 or 90,000 emails we now have on tap and start to convert some of those guys even internally. It's also gonna help us maintain and convert guys that come in to the website. We're also working on an influencer play. We're also working on a few other aspects. You're gonna see a lot more towards the end of the month as a lot of this stuff starts to come to fruition. Appreciate William is amazing. Yeah, the whole team is amazing. But yeah, what William types like 600 words a minute or something. It's absolutely amazing. But thanks, Jack. I appreciate that. We really do have the best support team in crypto. I without a doubt, actually. Physical XCM coins. Yeah, I'll try to get it done this weekend, guys. I'm sorry. It's just been with the finance burden plus the CEO burden. Well, it's not the CEO is not really a burden. I get to talk to you guys and have these fun chats. It's not a burden at all. I love to do it. CFO is a bit of a burden, though. I like numbers. I don't like Excel. I hate Excel. Hate it. But anyway, so are you booked for any upcoming speaking events, podcast shows? Keen to see your face, same logo, getting more exposure. Yes, you'll be seeing more of me. Actually, just did a few interviews that'll be coming out probably over the next 2 weeks, and I'll be doing more. Absolutely. Already answered that one. You get paid because we have staking on Quant. We like you, Quant guys. We like you guys to be Quamfy inside of CoinMetro, which makes you Quamfy, also Quamfy. Look at that, Jesus. Quamfy in CoinMetro means you hold Quant and you're on CoinMetro. It's just amazing. It's like a match made in heaven. It's like peanut butter and jelly, or peanut butter and maybe chocolate for some people, or just peanut butter, man. Who doesn't like peanut? Does anybody not like peanut butter? Maybe because I'm American. I don't know. It might be a very American thing to say. There's probably like a few French guys watching this right now, just completely baffled and pissed off, never going to watch the show again. So yeah, that's why, because you're staking it just by having it on the platform. So congratulations, you're welcome. And welcome to the world of XCM. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I already answered a marketing question. Fantastic questions this week. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. We have a company-wide meeting in 30 minutes, and I need to eat something, or my brain power is going to fall below its margin requirements. So thanks, everybody. It is coming. The weekend is coming. It is Friday. Spend time with friends and family. Do it virtually if you have, 10 million corona cases per 3 million people. I don't know, whatever. Do it virtually. Zoom somebody, WhatsApp somebody, Skype somebody. I always say Skype because I like, grandparents, I think, still use Skype. I don't know. Microsoft Teams somebody if you're into that type of thing. And have a chat. Make sure before you sign off, you let them know that you were feeling kind of blue and that, the whole Corona thing and this whole lockdown was really starting to get you down. And then you bought a few XCM and somehow that just changed everything. And now life is just everything. It's sunny every day, unicorns, rainbows, all that great stuff. And have a great weekend. See you guys here next week. If you have any questions that I didn't get to, sorry about that. Tag me on Telegram at Kevin Murcko, or just go into at CoinMetro into our group chat and tag anybody you want, and we'll answer your questions there. Or tag me in the group chat, and you can tweet at me at Kevin Murcko as well. There you go, guys. Appreciate everything. Appreciate all you guys. Onwards and upwards. Don't worry about small market fluctuations. We got so much news coming out. We got so much stuff happening in the next couple of weeks, next months, next years. It's going to be fucking amazing. So see you guys. Cheers.